The NBA regular season is over, and now everything is set. And I'm going to be predicting the playoffs, starting with the play-in with the Lakers and the Pelicans. And in this matchup, we just saw it. The Lakers dominated. LeBron, nobody can guard him. AD, nobody can guard him. And with that, I am going to tip the Lakers to advance to the playoffs. Golden State, Sacramento. This matchup is going to be determined on whether the Warriors role guys will step up or in a hot shooting performance. So I do think that Sacramento are better, and they have won 3 of 1 this year. But I think once it gets to the postseason, I'm just going to trust the more experienced team. But with it being a 3-1 tie, I am going to tip Sacramento to win, just because of Sabonis is so good, and they could scheme him out this year, but I don't think it will happen. Then we have the Eastern Conference play-in, Miami vs Philly. This matchup is very interesting. Bam take care of Embiid, and can Miami take care and will playoff Jimmy appear in this game? That's an interesting thing to think about, but just because the Sixers have the best player in the series, I am going to tip the 76ers to advance. Atlanta, Chicago. Chicago are a mess, and without LaVine, I don't really think they have a chance in this game. DeJounte Murray has been phenomenal ever since Trae Young went out, and now that Trae Young's back, it should improve them a little bit, so I'm going to tip Atlanta to advance into the second round of the play-in. For the 8 spots, we have Sacramento and the Pelicans. The Pelicans are really good against perimeter teams. I think they beat Sacramento every single time this year because they have the perimeter defenders such as Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels, Jose Alvarado. They can all guard, so I'm going to tip the Pelicans. And then we have Atlanta, Miami. I think it's a pretty simple matchup here. Miami will get through. They're just a better team. Now we have round 1, and we're going to be going through the West first. OKC versus Pelicans. It'll be an interesting matchup, but I still think that with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren leading the way, because the Pelicans aren't super uber physical like the Lakers would be, or don't have insane shot making like the Suns do, or have a top 10 player in the league, they're not going to win this one. And I think the Thunder will win both home games, and the Pelicans will win one, but the Thunder will ultimately take him out in 5. Moving on to the next matchup, the Clippers and the Mavs. The Mavs are very good. They came home hard, whereas the Clippers floundered. And the Mavs have been great this year against Clippers. As Luka Doncic, they don't have an answer for him. They can't guard him. He's too good. And for that reason, I think the Dallas Mavericks will win this one. But it'll be a competitive series with Dallas taking the first and Clippers winning the second. Dallas taking 3 and 4, Clippers taking 5, and Dallas taking 6. Then we have the Timberwolves versus Suns. We saw this matchup today. I think it'll be the same. The Minnesota Timberwolves, inexperienced, and ultimately they can't stop Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. So I am going to tip the Suns to win this one, and in relatively easy fashion in 5. We have Denver vs Lakers, the Western Conference Final rematch. Lakers are a completely different team, and without Bruce Brown this year, I think this series could be very interesting. The Nuggets with Jokic, he's incredible. His shot making, his playmaking, his gravity, incredible. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be tipping in the Lakers in this matchup, but D'Lo, I think will have a much better series because Bruce Brown coming off the bench won't be able to put him off with his bowl pressure, because that's where D'Lo struggles, when he is being pressured under the bowl. but I do think Denver will win this one, but I think it'll be in 6, and Denver will take the first, Lakers will take the second, Lakers will take the third, Denver will take 4 and 5, and 6. Moving on to the Eastern Conference. Boston, Miami to start off. The rematch from last year, I think Boston is a different team this year, and Miami, we just don't know what we're going to get. I know Jimmy Butler did get injured in round 2 and 3. He was injured through round 2 to the finals, so he wasn't as good. But I just think Boston are better this year, and Miami won't be able to upset. But even though, I still think Miami will make it an interesting series, and Miami will go home in 6. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Magic. I could see the Magic upsetting the Cavs in this matchup, because honestly, the Magic are an outstanding team. Their defensive prowess could get them over the line in this matchup, and the Cavs have been good this year, but recently they've faltered a bit, so it's up for debate this matchup. Donovan Mitchell versus a Jalen Suggs, I don't think it'll put him off his game, so I'm going to predict that the Cavs get it, but I think this will be an insane series, and the Cavs will come back and clinch in a Game 7. Now we have Milwaukee and Indiana. This year, the Bucks haven't been able to beat Indiana, and for that reason, I'm tipping Indiana. Don't go away from what you know. Giannis could be out for Game 1 and 2, so I think that if Indiana takes one of those first 2 games, then off to the races, they could win this series very well, and that's why I'm going to tip them. I think Milwaukee gets Game 1, Indiana gets Game 2, 3, Milwaukee takes Game 4, Indiana takes 5 and 6. Moving on, the Knicks versus the 76ers. The Knicks are very injured, but Jalen Brunson has been incredible, but I am going to be taking the better player in this series. I think that Joel Embiid will drag the Knicks past drag the Philadelphia 76ers. The Knicks will get Game 1, Philly will take Game 2, 3 and 4, Knicks will take Game 5, and Philly will take Game 6. Into round 2 of the playoffs, the conference semifinals, we have Boston and Cleveland, Indiana, Philly, OKC, Dallas, and Denver, the Phoenix Suns. This matchup, OKC, Dallas, it's an interesting one, but I am going to have to go for Dallas in this one. I like OKC, don't get me wrong. If they were to go out in this round, it's a great year. Even if they went out in the first round, it's still a great year. But I'm going to have to take Dallas because Luka, I think he's more playoff proven. Kyrie is, and their roster is better at the moment. With progression to Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, I'm sure the Thunder will be better, but I think it'll be a 6-game series. The Thunder will make it interesting, but ultimately the Mavs will prevail. Nuggets vs Phoenix. This matchup has been interesting. I think they're 2-2 or 2-1 in the season series, but in favor of Phoenix. So Phoenix could win this one, but Devin Booker was outstanding last year, and they still couldn't pull it off. So I think Denver gets it done, but it'll be a 7-game series, and that's a bit unrealistic. I feel like it'll be like that. Yeah, that's more realistic. I think Denver will win in a 7-game series, and the Suns will be a challenge for them. Now we have Boston, Cleveland. I think this will be a sweep. Not even kidding. Cleveland are just not a good team. They'll squeak past the Magic, and Boston will sweep them in the second round. Pacers vs Philly. This matchup will be interesting, with one of the best offenses of all time, or the best offense, and Philly being historically great team before Embiid went out. So I'm gonna have to give the edge to the better player, like I've been saying, which means I have Philly advancing to the conference finals. I think they'll take Game 1, Indy will take Game 2, Philly will take Game 3 and 4, Indy will take Game 5, and Philly will take Game 6. Now we have the conference finals with Dallas, Denver, Philly, Boston. Two very interesting final matchups, but let's get into the first one. Denver versus Dallas. The best player in the series is Jokic, without a doubt. But Kyrie is better than Jamal Murray, and the supporting cast of Dallas is better than Denver. But would I tip against Jokic? Nope. I would tip the Nuggets to win this series in 6, just because I think they're better and it's not as hard as a matchup as Phoenix. I feel top end talent, especially in the playoffs, is very vital, and it's more important to have it in the playoffs than it is to have in the regular season, which is why I had the Suns pushing them 2-7. And I think the Mavs are there. I don't know if Kyrie is a piece with Luka that could take him to a championship. I think a good center like an AD or a Bam or an Embiid would get him in championship quite easily because they're complementary pieces. And even a good wing like a Brandon Ingram would help them a lot instead of Kyrie. But I'm still going to tip Denver in this series, but it would be a successful season for the Mavs. Very good season. Then we have Boston, Philly. I am tempted to tip Philly in this series. Very tempted. But the Boston Celtics have proved us time and time again that they are great. So I am going to tip Boston to win, but I think it'll be a tight series and it'll go to 7 and Boston will win out. I think this series will show us that Embiid can be a playoff player. I think he'll average 30 in the playoffs this year and be incredible. And because he's back fresh from injury, I think this will be a testament to that is not a bad playoff player, and that narrative will go away. The finals, everybody probably saw it coming. Denver, Boston. And I'm going to get straight to the point. The Boston Celtics, their late game execution has been terrible. I've watched both Denver-Boston games this year, and Denver and the clutch have just been better. So for that reason, I think that the Denver Nuggets will beat the Boston Celtics in the finals, and I think Boston will get their crowd hyped in that first game. Denver will take game 2, they'll take game 3 and 4, then Boston fans will die down, but Boston will win game 5 and Denver will win game 6. That is my playoff bracket. Tell me what you guys think, who you have winning the championship this year. Tell me if you disagree, but if not, I'm going to have a few playoff matchup previews coming out soon, but that will be all for today.